Alright guys, welcome back. It's Justice again here from tutorialscamp.com. Now today what I want to talk about is why coding is so easy and why it's the most easiest thing, right? To me coding is really easy. But to somebody and others too, I know someone may be saying, if you are watching this video, you are thinking like, oh, this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know the kind of bugs that I have faced in my code the last days, right? But so let me tell you, coding or programming or whatever you call it, right? It's really easy, right? And that's how it is, right? When you don't know the concept, that's how it is, right? During my schooling, right, when I was in school, during the first year when we get started, we all face the same problem, right? We thought when we were getting introduced to data structures and algorithm, and even they started with this how do you call it, flowchart, and this there's other one called what is flowchart, and I just even forgot, right? Those stupid things we don't even use it, right? So the first year was kind of just brush through it and then give us a quick introduction of to the programming world, right? But I think most of the things that they even taught me in the first year, we don't actually use it, right? It's garbage, right? So what I want you to know is that programming is easy, okay? It's easy, but if you think coding is hard, then you have been doing it wrongly, okay? Because any part of a code or any specific sector or subject on a code, what it is based on, what a specific concept, right? Your goal is to get a concept, and if you get a concept behind it, forget it, you are good to go, right? One thing that most people say coding is hard is because they try to memorize the code. They learn the code, right? They learn the code instead of learning the concept. They learn the code and they end up saying coding is hard, coding is hard. But trust me, can you memorize all the code in the world, right? Others are, a single programmer is learning Python, JavaScript, PHP, this and that. So can you memorize all the code in these programming languages? That's stupid, right? We don't memorize code, or we don't learn the code. We learn the concept, that's what behind the code that we write, right? So if you get a concept right, you can use the code whatever way that you prefer, right? But if you don't understand it, you will just be repeating the code that other guys have already written. That's it, right? So your goal is to learn the concept in every programming or any sector or any subject, like variables, arrays, and classes, objects. There's concept behind it, right? So your goal is to get a concept. Okay, now let me show you one thing. Let me try to prove what I'm saying here, so that you understand what I'm saying here. So the concept of let me show you the concept behind class, how do you call it, class, right, object, and then reference variable, right? We call it reference variable for short, but you can call it object reference variable, right? So these three things, if you know any object-oriented programming languages, then you surely know these guys, right? But you only know what they do. Trust me, you don't know the concept behind it. You don't know the concept behind it. If I tell you like this, you just tell me, someone may say class is just a block of code where we define properties and then methods of our class. Then object is blueprint of class, that's back, and then object reference is just someone will tell you it's a variable that has a data type of what, a class, and object 2 will say it's a variable that has a data type of object, right? They will just be confused. They don't know which is which, right? That's because they don't know the concept behind it. So let me show you the concept behind these three guys, right? And what you should know. So in Java, you know of JVM, right? JVM. Let me print it out this guy so you guys can see. Let me make it big. Okay, that's cool. So you know JVM, right? Java Virtual Machine, right? So when you define your code, this JVM is the one which is responsible to what? Executing your main method, right? Executing the main method, and then this JVM too. If you have you move ahead, then you have you learn about thread and a lot of thread, right? This is responsible for what? Scheduling the multi-thread that you will have in your what? In your application. It's the job of the JVM to schedule thread. It's not the job of the developer. I know you, if you're a beginner to Java, or you actually don't know understand about, you don't know what thread means, right? But just for it, right? So JVM is the guy who is responsible what start your application for you, right? It's going to the main method and then start your application for you, right? So when the the concept behind this guy here is that an object is not visible. Object is not visible to you, the programmer, or the it's not visible to you, the programmer, right? You don't see object. I know this may sound silly, right? Yeah, I know. That's how we all thought when during our schooling days, right? I thought it's nonsense, right? But yes, object is not visible. Okay, so now what normally happens is that, okay, this is the what I want to show you, right? So let's do this. Okay, let me use a clip to explain this so that you get what I mean. Okay, so now you can see I have this my main method here. I've created a class which is Java class, which has the main method here, and then this is my static method. So when I start my application, the JVM will actually what? Come here and execute something, right? I said I'm going to show you the concept behind what class, object, and then object reference variable. And I'm saying object is what? It's not visible. Okay, so this was going to, let's see, I have a book class here. Okay, I have this book class, right? I have this book class. Now this book class here, right, is a class in my application. Class, okay, it's just a class that has this block of code to defining your properties and what your methods, right? But what is actually this class, right? What is it actually, right? We call it a blueprint of an object. Okay, now where is that object? That's what I'm telling you. Object is what? Not visible, right? We call this class a blueprint of what? An object. It's a blueprint of an object. I hope you guys can see the zoom well, right? Class is a blueprint of an object. But now where is the object? Okay, so now this is how we define an instance variable, reference variable, right? So now you have seen what a class is, and you have seen I'm going to show what a reference object reference variable is. Okay, so now what we are doing is that whenever we are creating an object, we do something like int, and then we do something like age, right? And then we assign the value of 11 to it. So this represents the name of the variable, and then the int, right? And then the value of the what, this age here. So what will happen is that when the JVM executes your application, right, inside the system memory, it is going to allocate a place, right, of what it's going to allocate a place called what, age, right? That will have a value of what, 11 into it. So if you call it, if you reference to the address of this page right here, right, you are going to get what, 11, right? But remember, this does not host a reference of what, this age here. It is just hold the value of what, this guy here, right? This why we call this primitive data types, but this what holds a reference of what an object. So this what we do is that when we're creating a reference object reference variable, we do something like book or book and then my book obj my book object do it obj object reference variable. Okay, my book object reference variable, right? And then now what we have done is that we have created a reference variable of what, of this object right here, of this class here, right? But where is the object that this guy here, we call it object reference variable, right? Meaning inside our application there is some space that has been allocated, what, that has a name of what, book, that point to what, this guy right here. Okay, so where is that book, where is that object? Now here's how we declare it. So what you do, you use new what, new book. Okay, now what you have done is that you have declared a reference object variable that hold the value of what, this address here, right? So this guy here is not the same as what, this guy here, right? But this guy here is just a blueprint of what, this object that has been what, allocated in the what, memory. Okay, so now when the JVM execute this, when the JVM run this method and then execute this guy here, right, let's forget about this one. Okay, it creates a new memory object of what, this guy in the system memory and then use it, right? But can you see that object? You the programmer, can you see that object? No, you don't see that object. We only see the what, the reference what object, which is here, right? So reference object object reference is just a pointer or better declare this as right, better declare this as the mess up, better declare it as what, multi-line comment. Oh, don't mess up. Okay, so object reference variable is a pointer or an address of an object, okay, of an object. But where is this object actually, right? That's the container that was stored in the system memory. It is not visible. Okay, so this guy here is not an object, but what, an object reference variable that contains the address of what, this guy. Okay, contains the address of what, this guy. So now to prove you that this where we go, right? Do something like my to prove something like that, right? So now what, okay, let me show you what's happening first. Let me use illustration to show you now. So inside my application, right, inside my application, when I execute it, the JVM will create, when I execute the application, the JVM will create a, where is the test? Book object. book object here. This book update will hold all the value here, right? So let's say inside our class we have something like change my name. Oh boy. Sorry, my keyboard is messing up. Let me push this in here. My name, okay, and then do something like justice. Now this is what will happen, right? This is what will happen, right? So when we have created an object of this reference variable object of this class right here, right? So when we execute the JVM, right, the JVM will actually create an object object location of this class here, right, inside our system memory, right? And then all the classes, all the codes in this thing here will be converted into bytecode and then putting into this container, right? So this container is represent the memory location inside our application. This guy here is not visible to you, the programmer, okay, but we use, since it's an instance of this guy, since whatever here has been converted into a bytecode here, if you want to reference this guy here, you just use the reference name and then you will get exactly what is printed here, right? So object is not visible to you, the programmer, okay? So that's the whole concept behind it, okay? So that's why we said that in application, right, when you have gotten so many objects, right, when we've gotten object, like let's say we have gotten this object, right, we have gotten one more object like this, it's a different application. Oh boy, duplicate, right, then duplicate this guy to, let's say this is doc object, right? So now these are all the memories that are going to be allocated in the application, the user system, okay? So they have the doc object, and then when our application contains a lot of objects, it will decrease the performance of the application, right? The user system will need a lot of memory to run our application. That's why we handle garbage collection when we create an object in the system memory and then there's no reference address to it. We call it garbage collection, okay? That's when we have created an object in our application, but there's no address to access it. It's called garbage collection. These guys are memory that has been allocated in our application, but they are not of use. Nobody is using it. We call it garbage collection, right? So that's the whole concept behind class and then object reference variable and then an object, right? That's how you should know it, right? So object is not very visible to you, the programmer, okay, but the instance of the object, which is the class, right, that's the visible. That's why we call a class blueprint of the object that is not visible to us, right? Blueprint of an object. Now this object here is not visible, but the reference of it, the address of that object is this guy here, right? So now if you want to see the address of the object that is not visible, you can do something like this. can do something like system.out.println, right, and then print this my book obj ob reference variable. Okay, now what will this actually print? Right, what will this thing execute? It will just print the address location of what this class object, right? So just look at what will happen here if I run it. You see, I've gotten tutorial scamp, that's my application name, and then the book class here, right? The book class here, which is the book object that was created, right? I created, and then the address at this is the address of that object in my memory location, right? So this book right here, this book object, what is just an object of this class here, and this is the blueprint of what this object here. So this guy here is not what this book object here is not what visible to you, the programmer. Okay, that's the whole concept behind it. But what is visible to you is the address of it, right? And the address of it is this. The whole address to that book is what is this. So when you use the address, you can actually point to all the members, to all the what the values, properties, and the method that has been declared inside it. Okay, that's the whole concept. So guys, that is right. That's how we all get started, right? That's how we all get started. You know, when you are new to program, maybe if you are in your first year, it may sound silly if your teachers tell you that if the teacher explain some of the concept of programming language to you. Okay, it may sound silly, and sometimes you may not even understand it, but you will just go with it. Okay, you will just take it as if it is. But if you take your time and then understand the concept, it will help you a lot, because now, since you know, you can actually use this guy anyhow I like it, right? So since you know object is not visible, and then class is just blueprint of this invisible object, you know how to use it, right? You know how to use it. You won't be confusing yourself like memorizing code, because this concept is just in my head forever. Okay, do I need to go back and then learn about class, object, reference, variables, what they mean, and then no, or the syntax behind it, the code, and then behind it? No, the key is to understand the concept. If you understand the concept, that's it, you are good to go. Okay, so programming, that's how it is. We don't learn the code, we don't memorize the code, right? We learn the concept. Okay, so if you are kind of worried what is variable, array, and this type, and then you are kind of worried, you are thinking like, oh, I don't understand arrays, for loop, arrays, for loops, while loop, and constructed, the construct, a lot of stuff, right? Then it means that you are actually learning it wrongly. Okay, you are following the wrong approach, right? So my advice is that take your time. Programming, you just need, it's not a speed, or it's not a competitive market that you are like competing with your fellow programmers, right? You are just in this world for yourself, right? This code is just something that it's up to you, right? The way it's out is for you only, and the way you use it. Okay, that's why we call it what a dead career, right? That's what my teacher said. He said coding is a dead end career, right? He has this career. He was teaching me in class, and he himself was taking what side project too, right? So you could do side project and then make money, a lot of it, whilst you're still teaching, right? Even if you go to the ages of 90 and he's in good health, he can still be taking side hustle and start project and then make a lot of money from it, right? So this is a very good career, right? But you need to take your time and then understand everything, because if you are like my colleagues or my mates are just moving ahead of me, so I need to be quick. Need to learn this fast, and then so that I'll be on the same stage with them. You are just worrying yourself. Okay, learn the concept, take your time, right? You know, they say there's a moment I say there is a saying I even forget, right? No, if you know something later and then you know it very well, you understand it well, right? It's much better than knowing a lot of things, right, and then you don't even know how to use it, right? I got it. They said, uh, if you have thousand resources and you don't know how to use them, it's what wasted. But if you have a single resource and then you know how to use it, it's what much worth it than the thousand resources. Okay, so that's how it is, right? So take your time and then learn coding. Coding is fun, right? Trust me. Just learn the concept behind it and then you understand everything. Okay, it's fun, right? So this was actually not part of the Java tutorial series, right? It's just something that I just want you guys to know, right? Just I was there and then I just memorized something that my teacher told me, right? And then something that has helped me to be learning fast. Okay, yeah, to be learning fast. Because if I don't tell you, you'll be memorizing code and then you'll be coding the way things. You'll just be learning the code that I'll be showing you in the tutorials and then I won't be helping you, right? You'll be doing it wrong and maybe during your interview when they call you to explain certain things because you have just been learning code, you just been memorizing code. You don't know how to, you will not know how to what express yourself, right? So that's why I kind of let you know of this, right? So it's very really helpful and I know, right? So if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and then hit the bell button. That's very important, okay? And also how do you call it, any topics that whatever you want me to make video on it, you can make you can order your personal video, right? Whatever you don't understand, just order, right? Just order, right? If I will help you, I will tell you that I'll do a video tutorial and then if you want it personal, I'll send it to you. Okay, cool. And whatever again. Alright, so stay in the channel and then see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a very nice day. There you go.